Is it too late for this? Because it kind of feels too late for this. Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation, where I review action figures and then articulate 5 points to help you decide if you want to add that figure to your collection. The 5 points I discuss are packaging, presentation, posability, playability, and price. I'm Jason, and if you enjoy my content, please like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube rigmarole. Love him, hate to love him, or love to hate him, Peacemaker has gotten his own series on HBO Max. To celebrate, we're taking a long overdue look at the Suicide Squad King Shark wave. Starting off the packaging, and we know what we're in for. Here's Peacemaker, Harley Quinn, Bloodsport, and Polka Dot Man. Names and logos down here. This, of course, is the collect-to-build King Shark wave, our biggest build-a-fig yet. Names and logos on the side, and character portraits on the back. First we have Peacemaker, Harley, Polka Dot Man, and Bloodsport. For packaging, I'm giving the King Shark wave 1 whole point. Moving on to presentation, and since Peacemaker is the one with the TV show, we'll start with him. He stands at 7 1/4 inches, and kinda looks like John Cena. The mouth and jaw's right, and the forehead and hairline are right, but you put it all together and there's just something wrong. As always, they did a pretty good job of texturing, and as always, they were a bit fast and loose with the paint. We'll talk more about it during posability, but you'll notice that he doesn't have a traditional ab crunch or diaphragm joint. Instead, his entire torso is a floating piece with a separate torso underneath. If he's just standing static on a shelf, that's fine, but if you try to put him in any kind of action pose, it looks like his shirt's riding up. Moving on down, we see more texture detail in the pants, but once we get to his calves, we can see that he is unfortunately bow-legged. If there was a boot cut, it wouldn't be so bad, but even at a distance, it's pretty obvious. Moving on to Bloodsport, and he comes to just under 7 1/2 from the top, and I love his helmet. It kind of reminds me of an alien xenomorph. I also like all the sculpted detail. Zooming in, and there are so many different textures. There's different straps and buckles, as well as different pouches and panels. He's unfortunately let down by not only a lack of painted detail, but just a baffling color scheme. He looks less like Bloodsport and more like an assassin for the Florida Gators. Moving on to Polka Dot Man, and he stands at 7 inches on the dot. The polka dot! If you had told me that Polka Dot Man would not only be in a live-action movie, but that he would be my favorite character in that movie, I'd have said you were crazy. Zooming on in, we can see a very good likeness to David Dalsmakian, and moving on down, they've done a great job of sculpting his jumpsuit, and a pretty good job of painting all those polka dots. Again, pretty good. Even so, this might be the most painted detail I've ever seen in a DC Multiverse figure. Moving down the arm, and we can see that his gauntlet's been set to on. The gauntlets do a decent job of hiding the wrist balls, and the boots do a very good job of hiding the ankle balls. Lastly, we have Harley Quinn, who stands just under 7 inches. First impressions, in this action figure is a fantastic representation of Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn as Samara Weaving in Ready or Not. The figure also captures Harley Quinn's most challenging battle yet, carpal tunnel. In terms of sculpting, I think they did a great job capturing this dress, and it's nice to see all the painted detailing for her tattoos. We've got the cheek, the chest piece, shoulder, forearm, unfortunately the articulation kind of breaks it up, thigh, and back piece. And wait a minute. Property of no on? Did McFarlane forget the E or did Harley? Judging by the way they painted her eyes, and I'm guessing she never forgets the E. This is honestly a very good sculpt of Margot Robbie, but where's her upper lip? I swear she looks like an extra from The Grinch. Alright, I've kidded around enough. I guess you could say I'm a real joker. Just like the film itself, this wave is kinda mixed. The likenesses range from good to good grief. Additionally, some of the figures have more paint detailing than we're used to seeing on a Multiverse, and others were just plain done dirty. Polka Dot Man is definitely the standout, but overall, for presentation, I'm giving the Suicide Squad 1/2 point. Moving on to posability, and all of their heads are on dumbbell joints. They can look up this much. Polka Dot Man can't really look up at all, but that's kinda consistent with his character, and they can look down this much. They all have swivel hinge shoulders, forward and back with a rotator cuff, bicep swivel, and double jointed elbows. Again, moving all the way down the arm, when they have the McFarlane wrist balls, they swivel and hinge. Of the 4, Harley doesn't have any torso or waist articulation, and again, the rest of them have this weird floaty piece. It allows for twisting side to side, as well as arching back and hunching forward. Push them enough and you can definitely see the gap. For a character like Bloodsport, who already has a lot of layers, I don't think it looks too bad, but for characters like Peacemaker, who are essentially just wearing a t-shirt, it really kinda distracts. Below the waist, they have the McFarlane hips, they kick out 90 degrees, and have a pretty good spread. Bloodsport has a bit of thigh swivel, Peacemaker not so much, Polka Dot Man even less. Harley, of course, is impeded by this skirt. That said, she does have a bit of sideways, and she can kick out a little. Unfortunately, no swivel. Moving on down though, and all of them have double jointed knees and McFarlane ankle balls. They hinge, swivel, and pivot. And of course, they have toticulation. Considering how agile Harley is, it's a real shame that she's encumbered by this bulky gown. It's even more unfortunate that they didn't at least give her a waist cut and a dumbbell joint. But what's the use of having all that posability if actually posing the figures makes them look ugly? playability? In the case of this wave, half a point. Before we continue, if you like this video, do me a favor and give it a like. I put a lot of love into these videos, and your likes really do help more people to see them. Moving on to playability, and they each come with a trading card. They actually gave me 2 Bloodsports by mistake, and if you want to read what it says about Bloodsport, pause here. For Peacemaker, pause here. For Harley, pause here. And for Polka Dot Man, pause here. Sadly, no trading card for the King Shark. And of course, they also come with figure stands. Peacemaker comes with his signature axe. I actually do like the little doves carved into it. Harley comes with a javelin, perfect for stabbing Starro in the eye. Bloodsport, the expert marksman, comes with a pair of swords. And Polka Dot Man, well, he kinda made out like a bandit. For one thing, he has his goggles, and if you look, the lenses are actually transparent. He also comes with a polka dot energy effect. The dots are all very nicely painted on. And for when he's not using his powers, he has an alternate closed gauntlet. Word of warning, the process to pull this hand off to switch it out is honestly kinda difficult, and I actually thought I broke it. Long story short, this is where this is gonna stay, and I'm never switching it out again. But of course, the main accessory for this wave is the Build-A-Figure. The biggest one yet. I love being able to see inside and all the moving parts. For example, if you look inside, you can see there's actually a spring in there. And don't even get me started on his lower half. That is so cool. Action figure engineers do not get enough credit. We got the front and back torso that snaps together like so. Notice the notch in the dumbbell joint for the head. It goes in like so. For some reason we're not connecting. Like so. Okay, got it. The stomach is conveniently labeled up. Alright, I think I can figure this part out. Good. Hand. That's 1 and 2. Ta-da! This thing's adorable! Just look at that little face! To the top of his head, King Shark stands at 8.5 inches, but to the top of his fin, he stands at 9. He's a really simple design, but they managed to work a lot of little details in there. Lots of little dings and cracks, and a very authentic shark texture. He has a dumbbell joint in his head, and a hinge in his mouth. Swivel hinge shoulders raise up 90 degrees. He's actually got a 13-inch reach. Single jointed swivel elbows, and at the end of his far-reaching arms, those flippers swivel and hinge. It looks pretty good like this. Hinging down, however, looks kinda ugh. Moving on down, he's got a diaphragm joint and a barbell in the waist. Arches back, arches forward, tilt, tilt, twist, and shout. Below the waist, and the less said the better. The feet move pretty good though. Here we have a kinda sorta version of the Harley Quinn animated series crew. Obviously, I'm missing a few people. There's a new Clayface coming, which is pretty exciting, but we desperately need a new Poison Ivy. On the subject of Harley, here she is with DC Universe Classics and DC Essentials. Here she is with Arkham Asylum by DC Direct. And for an Arkham City comparison, here she is with Mattel and NECA. These scale surprisingly well. I wonder. Not really what I had in mind. This might have potential. I feel like the head might be just a skosh too big. Sound off in the comments and tell me what you think. Now this combo, on the other hand, might just be onto something. Full disclosure, I stuffed the head with some paper towel to make it work. Since they're both part of the DCEU, here she is with Batfleck. Speaking of reviews being too late, is it too late to do this one? Let me know in the comments if you want to see it. They haven't made any Jared Leto Jokers yet, but here's a few that McFarlane has made. Moving back to King Shark, and here he is with the 1990 Superboy by Mattel. A lot of people forget that King Shark actually started out as a Superboy villain. For a John Cena comparison, here's Peacemaker with John Cena as Jacob Toretto in F9 from the WWE Elite Hollywood Collection. Obviously the color's off and the neck is too wide, but this is a much better likeness. And since McFarlane Toys painted him to look like him, here's Bloodsport with Deathstroke. For a Dune co-star comparison, here's Polka Dot Man with Aquaman. Oh, what the heck. Here's the Suicide Squad versus the Justice League. If only. For a relative scale comparison, here they are with Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man, and of course, Stealth Iron Man. Because of a stupid corporate mandate by Warner Brothers, 2 of the characters who should have guns aren't allowed to. That said, it is fun to mix and match them with your other DC movie figures, and honestly, King Shark more than makes up for it. For playability, I'm giving the Suicide Squad 1 whole point. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. I found these figures at Target for $25 each. At just $5 more than a single carded release, that makes King Shark only $20. The question is, would they have been worth it individually for $20 a pop? Yes, yes, no, heck no. A mediocre wave saved by a great white value. For price, I'm giving the Suicide Squad 1 whole point for a grand total of 4 out of 5. King Shark gets a whole 5. For more DCEU content, check out this video on the Snyder Cut Superman, or check out this video on the Mortal Kombat 11 Joker, and find out how you can win a free comedian Joker from Batman the Three Jokers. Are you watching Peacemaker, and if so, what do you think? I haven't seen it yet, so please don't post any spoilers. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.